There's an unending amount of mystery surrounding our oceans. As of 2018, the Ocean Service has said that over 80% of our ocean is unexplored. Although many have said that space is one of the last unexplored frontiers, the argument could be made that our oceans also make that list. After all, we've done a great job at mapping hard-to-reach regions on our planet, but haven't managed to research certain regions of our oceans. This has caused amateur researchers to use apps such as Google Earth in the hopes of finding something of interest. Every year people manage to capture strange photographs, leaving those who see them confused and wanting answers. Although the majority of these eventually get answers, there's a fair amount that remain a mystery. This interesting photo was recently shared to Facebook, and it shows a large structure that could be seen via Google Earth. However, the person who discovered it couldn't explain what they were looking at. At first they thought the pattern may have been caused by something like a trawler boat, but it wasn't until they zoomed out they realised how big these lines were. The man said the following in his post: "I was having a look through Google Earth recently and noticed this strange pattern off the coast of Antarctica. It stood out to me because it didn't look like any of the natural features that were nearby. Something that surprised me as well is that I hardly had to zoom in to see this thing. I did a measurement and the structure is over 285 kilometers in length. I showed one of my friends who fishes and he said it doesn't match typical trawler patterns. I'm not someone who normally looks for this kind of stuff, but I found the image interesting and thought I'd share it. I'm hoping that someone can help me figure out what this thing is." End quote. This isn't the first time that these large structures have been discovered on Google Earth, and in the majority of cases they do turn out to be things such as trawler boats. However, when we compare these lines to those created by trawlers, there's a big difference. Those who saw the images noted that trawler ships typically leave behind wavy lines, as opposed to these straight parallel lines. Another person said that whatever this thing is, it appears to have some symmetry to it, and you don't usually see features like this in nature. They went on to note that after viewing the images you can also see sharp turns and edges. This person said the following: "The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration may have been carrying out work in the area. Whatever this thing is though, it's very big." End quote. Others compared this to a similar grid-like pattern that was discovered off the coast of Cyprus. Back in 2011, an interesting post was made by a user that noticed strange and unusual ocean floor grid patterns. This grid pattern appeared to span 60 miles in width and 65 miles in length, and had numerous different right angles all across its formation. The post then goes on for several more paragraphs talking about how the carvings all throughout the area appear to be artificially created, with what is described as being similar to those of paved streets, walkways and a number of smaller squares all throughout the region, that also seem to have 90-degree angle turns, and look like modern-day property lots. However, after years of people speculating that this could have been an ancient civilization among other things, Google wiped the images from its database and said it was nothing of interest, and that it had been created due to overlapping datasheets, and those who suggested it was Atlantis were looking too deep into this. As mentioned, this isn't the first time that a strange discovery like this has been made. One idea that's been put forward is that these structures could actually be part of an underwater base. Underwater bases sounds like the work of fiction or something you'd hear in a movie, but the reality is there's many secret bases scattered across our planet, some of which the everyday public don't know about. Some amateur researchers have even said it's likely that governments do have underwater bases, and that this wouldn't be out of the scope due to the advantages they have. For example, recently there's been images captured of a Chinese submarine departing an underwater base, which revealed that the idea of underwater bases is very much a reality, and caused some to say that if China's done it, it's likely that other countries have too, or will follow in their footsteps. Then there's those people that suggest that underwater bases aren't built for or used by us, but rather they're being used by an advanced race that call this planet home. One of the most interesting underwater discoveries is that of the Malibu underwater base. This anomaly started to make headlines when it was first discovered, and that's because people labelled it as an underwater alien base, and this is one of those cases where you can understand why. At first glance, the object does look to resemble that of a building, with what appears to be large pillars holding up the bulk of the object. The discovery was made 6 miles off the coast of Point Dume in Malibu, California. The object pretty much sits on the seabed, looks to be oval in shape and is pretty large. Google Earth images revealed that this object is in fact massive, measuring in at around 3 miles in length, having what appears to be pillars and even a large entrance. It's not hard to imagine why various theories have been put forward to try and explain it. According to various websites that look into UFOs, they suggest the massive structure is a UFO or a USO base. Many people have heard of unidentified flying objects, but many may not be aware of unidentified submerged objects. These are unidentified flying objects that are seen in and around oceans, with some people even claiming that they've seen these crafts enter the water without making a splash. It's not just random people who have reported seeing these crafts either. People in the military have seen these large crafts enter the water without making a sound, and even reported them staying under the water for several hours. It's these types of reports that have caused some to think that there's bases under our oceans, and that perhaps they could be part of something much bigger. However, not everyone agrees with the idea that this is linked to USOs, with David Schwarzkopf of the US Geological Survey coming forward and saying the following: "I didn't see anything special about it. I think it's because it looks like there's a flat surface, and then below it looks like there's these vertical columns. So somebody can say, oh look, it's the entrance to something special. There's no flag under the water that says I'm an entrance to an alien base. There's nothing unnatural looking about it. It's just showing some sort of variation in the offshore coastal morphology." End quote. So what do you make of this underwater structure? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comments section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.